The day the aliens came changed everything. It was a normal Tuesday in May when the skies above every major city on Earth filled with massive ships. They blocked the sun and cast giant shadows over the land. People stood in streets, looking up, with fear and wonder. No one knew what to expect. The ships belonged to the Zaxians. For thousands of years they had ruled most of the galaxy. They had technology humans could barely understand. To them, finding Earth was like finding a new island with strange animals. They did not see humans as equals. They saw them as pets. Dr. Lisa Winters was working late in her lab when they took her. A bright blue light filled the room, and then she couldn't move. She felt herself floating up through the ceiling into one of the giant ships. Around her, hundreds of other humans floated up as well, frozen and scared. When Lisa woke up, she was in a glass box. It was like a fancy room but with clear walls on all sides. Outside her cage, tall purple creatures with 4 arms walked by. They had skin that shimmered like metal and large black eyes. They wore complex outfits with many small gadgets attached. "Look at this one," said one of the aliens in a strange clicking language. Lisa shouldn't have understood, but somehow the words made sense in her mind. "It has colorful fur on top. Must be a sign of status among them." The alien who spoke wore more decorated clothes than the others. This was High Commander Crax Atul, though Lisa wouldn't learn his name for weeks. He tapped on the glass and made a whistling noise like calling a dog. "I want this one," Crax Atul said. "It looks smarter than the others." In another part of the ship, Jack Callahan fought against the invisible force holding him in place. He had been a soldier before, trained to handle tough situations. But nothing had prepared him for this. His cage was smaller than Lisa's, more like a large pet carrier. The alien who picked him had yellow markings on its face and chest. This was General Vexnor, a high-ranking military leader. "This specimen has good muscle tone," Vexnor said to another alien. "The physical ones make good entertainment. I'll train it to fight with the other pets." Days turned into weeks. The giant ships left Earth after taking thousands of humans. They left behind confused governments and scared people. The Zaxians put up a shield around Earth. No one could leave, and the Zaxians could return whenever they wanted more pets. Lisa learned quickly what the aliens wanted. Craxtal kept her in his large home on a planet called Zax Prime. He would bring friends over to watch her solve puzzles or draw pictures. Sometimes he made her wear strange clothes for their amusement. If she performed well, she got better food and a soft bed. If she refused, they used a stick that caused terrible pain without leaving marks. "See how it uses tools," Craxtal would brag to his visitors. "They're like tiny Krillians, but not nearly as evolved. Watch this." He would tap commands into a small device, and pictures would appear on the wall of her cage. He wanted her to copy them or solve simple math problems. Lisa pretended to be less smart than she was. She made small mistakes on purpose. All while she watched and learned. She figured out their language. She studied their technology when they weren't looking. Most importantly, she noticed how they never locked their computer tablets. Why would they? To them, a human was just a clever animal that could never understand their advanced world. Jack's life was harder in some ways. Vexnor kept him with other human pets in a large space with obstacles and climbing structures. The aliens would bet on which humans could complete challenges the fastest. Sometimes they made them fight each other for food. Jack used his military training to stay calm and observe. He noticed that Vexnor often brought work home. The alien would review battle plans and security protocols while watching his pets play. Jack couldn't read the alien writing yet, but he memorized the shapes and patterns. Every night he would whisper what he learned to the other humans when the aliens went to sleep. 3 months after being taken, Lisa made a discovery. Crax Tool was entertaining guests, playing music through the house speakers. When a certain high note played, all the Zaxians winced and covered the small holes on the sides of their heads. The music quickly changed to something else, and they laughed it off. But Lisa saw how much that sound had hurt them. That same week, Jack found a way to talk to humans in other homes. The Zaxians had a system like the internet. and the simple tablets they gave humans for entertainment were connected to it. Jack figured out how to send messages by changing game scores in a pattern. Soon, humans across the city were communicating. 1 year passed. Then 2. Then 5. Humans were now common pets among wealthy Zaxians. Some were treated well, kept as status symbols and taught to do tricks. Others were put in shows or made to work in houses. The worst were used for fighting sports or sent to research labs. But the Zaxians made a big mistake. They thought humans were like other species they had found, easy to tame and simple-minded. They didn't understand human determination or our ability to adapt. Lisa now understood most Zaxian technology. She secretly built small devices from parts she stole. Jack had created a network of human spies in military households, and they weren't alone. Paul Martinez, an engineer kept by a Zaxian technology maker, learned how their ships worked. Olivia Grant, owned by a language teacher, became fluent in all Zaxian dialects. Ryan Davis, a former Navy SEAL, organized fighting humans into a resistance force. The Zaxians never noticed. To them, humans were just getting better trained, more obedient, more entertaining. They didn't see the uprising coming until it was too late. In her glass room, Lisa watched Crackstool sleeping. She held a small device she had built from stolen parts. It would make the sound that hurt them, but much stronger. Her hand trembled slightly. 5 years, she whispered to herself. 5 years as a pet, not 1 day more. She pressed the button. The plan had begun. Lisa's device filled the room with a high-pitched sound. Crackstool jumped up from his sleep, his 4 hands covering the hearing holes on his head. He fell to his knees, eyes wide with pain and shock. The mighty alien looked at Lisa with disbelief. How could his pet have done this? The sound traveled through the home's communication system to every room. All the Zaxian guards dropped their weapons, unable to fight against the noise that attacked their sensitive brains. Lisa pressed her hand against the glass wall of her cage. She had discovered weeks ago that the lock responded to Zaxian body heat, which was much higher than human temperature. She had built a small heating pad from parts of her entertainment tablet. She placed it against the scanner and the glass door slid open. Freedom. After 5 years, she stood outside her cage. She ran to Crackstool's private office and grabbed his communication device. She sent the pre-planned signal to Jack and the others. Across the city, similar scenes played out as humans activated their own sound devices. Across the city on the same night, Jack made his move at General Vexnor's compound. When the signal came, he pulled out his own sound device. The effect was immediate. The guards fell, covering their ears in pain. Jack freed the other 20 humans kept in Vexnor's fighting pits. They had been preparing for this moment, exercising, in secret studying the layout of the building. "Follow me," Jack told them. "Remember the plan. No killing unless absolutely necessary." This wasn't about revenge. It was about escape and survival. Jack led his group to the weapons room. Not the primitive weapons they were forced to use in fights, but real Zaxian weapons. The humans couldn't use the DNA-locked guns, but they could use the shock staffs that needed no genetic key. Across the capital city of Zax Prime, the human uprising had begun. 5 years of careful planning was finally in action. Paul Martinez, the engineer, had the most dangerous job. He worked in the main shipyard where Zaxian vessels were repaired. When his sound device activated, he didn't run. Instead, he went deeper into the facility. He needed to reach the main control room. The shipyard was chaos. Zaxians rolled on the ground, their advanced minds unable to function through the sound that humans could barely hear. The few humans who worked as forced labor in the shipyard joined Paul as he moved through the complex. "We need to disable the planetary defense grid," Paul explained to his small group. "Once we do that, we can steal ships." In another part of the city, Olivia Grant put her language skills to use. As the home of her Zaxian owner filled with the debilitating sound, she went straight to the communication center. Every wealthy Zaxian had one to connect with the Empire's vast network. Olivia began sending false messages to Zaxian security forces, using the proper codes and language patterns she had memorized. She directed them away from areas where humans were escaping and toward false emergencies. "Security alert in Sector 7, she sent. "All units respond." There was no problem in Sector 7, but it would keep the forces busy while humans escaped from Sectors 3 and 5. Ryan Davis, the former Navy SEAL, led the most aggressive part of the plan. He and 30 other combat-trained humans attacked the detention center where newly captured humans were processed before being sold as pets. Their timing was perfect. A ship had just arrived from Earth with 200 fresh captives. These humans had not yet been broken by Zaxian control methods. "We're getting you out," Ryan told the confused and frightened newcomers. "Earth sent us." It wasn't exactly true, but it gave them hope. Ryan had no time to explain the real situation, that this was a desperate gamble by pets who had planned for years. Back at Craxitul's home, Lisa downloaded everything she could from his private files. Maps of Zaxian space, military records, and most importantly, the location of Earth. The Zaxians had hidden Earth behind a special field that made it invisible to most scanning technology. They wanted to keep their pet source a secret from other alien species who might want human pets of their own. Lisa discovered something that made her blood run cold. The Zaxians were planning to start human breeding programs. They had already taken samples from the strongest and smartest humans. They wanted to create specialized human types, some for fighting, some for entertainment, some for work. "They see us as animals," she whispered as she read. "Complete animals." She copied everything and destroyed the original files. Then she met up with Jack's group at the planned location, a small transport hub on the edge of the city. "Did you get the access codes?" Jack asked when she arrived. Lisa nodded. "And much more. They've been studying us, Jack. They know more about human biology than we do. They were going to start breeding us like dogs." Jack's face hardened. "Then we're doing the right thing." By dawn, over 600 humans had escaped across the capital city. They stole 12 small transport ships designed for moving around the planet. Paul had disabled the security systems that would have prevented takeoff without proper clearance. Their destination was an abandoned mining outpost on Craxis 4, a moon that orbited a gas giant far from the main Zaxian worlds. It was in the files Lisa had stolen, listed as depleted and abandoned. As their small fleet left the atmosphere of Zax Prime, alarms finally began to sound across the planet. The Zaxians were recovering from the sound attack and discovering their pets were gone. On the lead ship, Lisa, Jack, Paul, Olivia, and Ryan gathered around a display table. They had all brought valuable information. Together, for the first time, they could see the full picture of what they were up against. The Zaxian Empire controls over 300 star systems, Olivia said, pointing to the map Lisa had stolen. "We are here. Earth is here." The 2 points of light were impossibly far apart, and were 12 ships of untrained humans against an empire, Ryan added. "We need a bigger plan than just hiding." Paul studied the technical files he had stolen. "These ships aren't meant for long journeys. We have maybe 2 weeks of life support." Lisa played a recording she had taken from Craxitul's files. It showed Zaxians in a laboratory testing the effects of different sound frequencies on their own kind. They were trying to build resistance to their weakness. "They know their vulnerability," she said. "They're working to eliminate it. Our advantage won't last forever." Jack looked at the tiny fleet of stolen ships. "Then we don't hide. We fight. We find a way to hurt them so badly they'll never touch Earth again." The ships jumped to faster-than-light travel, vanishing from Zaxian space. The first phase of humanity's rebellion was complete, but the real war was just beginning. The mining outpost on Craxis 4 was cold and dark when the human ships arrived. No one had been there for at least 30 years. Dust covered everything. The air systems barely worked. But it was safe from Zaxian patrols, and that was all that mattered for now. 600 humans set to work making the outpost livable. They had been pets and slaves for years. Now they worked for themselves. They cleared old mining quarters, fixed broken systems, and set up defenses in case they were found. In what used to be the mine's control center, the leaders gathered. Lisa spread out the information she had stolen from Krax's tool. Jack brought military plans from Vexnor's files. Paul had shipyard designs, Olivia had communication codes. Ryan had maps of Zaxian outposts. The Zaxians will be looking for us, Ryan said. But they'll expect us to run, not fight back. They still think we're just clever animals. Lisa pointed to a section of Krax's tool's files. According to this, they've never had a pet species rebel before. They've done this to 12 other intelligent species across the galaxy. All of them just accepted being pets. Humans are different, Jack said. We don't give up. Paul was studying the stolen ship designs. These transport ships won't get us to Earth. The distance is too great, and they'd catch us long before we arrived. We need a better ship, Ryan agreed. A real starship. Olivia had been quiet, reading through communication logs. Now she looked up with wide eyes. I think I found something important. The Zaxians have a research outpost not far from here. It's small, only 20 Zaxians. They're studying some kind of ancient technology they found in this system. Jack leaned forward. What kind of defenses do they have? Minimal. It's a secret facility. They rely on nobody knowing it exists. Lisa studied the information. If we could take that outpost, we might find technology we could use. And we need more supplies anyway. The plan formed quickly. They would use 3 of their ships. 2 would carry fighters led by Ryan and Jack. The third would bring Paul, Lisa, and Olivia to study anything useful they found. 2 days later, they approached the research outpost. It was built into a small moon, with only a landing pad visible from space. They used Zaxian access codes Olivia had stolen to request emergency landing permission. Research Station Gamma, this is supply ship Dorn 12, Olivia said in perfect Zaxian. We have emergency supplies from Central Command. There was a pause before a response came. Supply ship Dorn 12, we are not scheduled for resupply. Please verify your authorization. Olivia sent the codes she had prepared. The codes belonged to a high-ranking Zaxian security officer. The research station wouldn't question them. Authorization confirmed. You may land, Dorn 12. The trap was set. As their ship landed on the pad, the doors to the research station opened. 4 Zaxian guards came out to meet them. They weren't prepared for what happened next. Ryan's team rushed out with sound devices activated. The guards fell instantly, covering their hearing organs in pain. The human team moved quickly into the station before anyone could send a warning. Inside, they found 16 more Zaxians. All were quickly subdued with the sound devices. No killing, just prisoners now. The humans had learned from their captors, but chose to be more humane. While Ryan's team secured the station, Lisa, Paul, and Olivia explored the research labs. What they found amazed them. This is ancient technology, Paul said, examining strange machines. The Zaxians didn't build this. They found it and are trying to understand it. One device stood out from the others. It was a sphere about the size of a basketball covered in symbols no one recognized. When Lisa approached it, it began to glow. It's responding to human DNA, one of the Zaxian scientists said in their language. He had recovered enough to speak, though he was still bound. That's what we've been studying. The ancients who built this were more like you than like us. Olivia translated for the others. What does it do? She asked the scientist. We don't know exactly. It seems to be a weapon or defense system. It responds only to certain genetic patterns. Zaxian DNA doesn't activate it, but human DNA does. That's why we've been bringing human tissue samples here. Lisa looked at the sphere with wonder. The ancients, were they like humans? The scientist nodded. We believe they may have been your evolutionary ancestors. They vanished 50,000 years ago, but their technology still works. This changed everything. If humans were somehow connected to these ancients whose technology the Zaxians couldn't use, it gave them an advantage. Jack joined them after securing the rest of the station. We found their communication center. They've been sending regular reports to Zax Prime. If we don't send the next one on schedule, they'll know something is wrong. Olivia sat at the Zaxian communication station. I can fake the next report, that will buy us time. While she worked on that, Lisa and Paul continued studying the ancient technology. The sphere seemed to be just one component of a larger system. The Zaxians had found other pieces but hadn't assembled them correctly because they couldn't activate them. With these, Paul said, holding up what looked like a control panel, we might be able to build weapons that only humans can use. Back at their mining outpost, the humans worked day and night to understand the ancient technology. The Zaxian prisoners, in exchange for good treatment, helped translate research notes. The sphere turned out to be a power source of incredible strength. When connected to other ancient components, it could generate energy fields, create shields, or power weapons. 1 month after taking the research station, they intercepted a Zaxian message that chilled everyone's blood. "Attention all Imperial vessels," Olivia translated as the message played. "The pet rebellion on Zax Prime has been contained. However, some escaped specimens stole vessels and fled. The Emperor has ordered that all humans are now classified as dangerous. The quarantine of Earth will be changed to eradication. Preparations are underway to sterilize the planet to prevent further human threats." The room fell silent. The Zaxians were planning to destroy Earth because of their escape. "How long do we have?" Ryan asked quietly. Lisa looked at the Zaxian prisoners. "How long would it take to organize a planetary sterilization?" The head scientist answered. 3 months minimum. The fleet would need to gather and special weapons would be prepared. Jack stood up, his face determined. "Then we have 3 months to save our world. We need to use everything we've found. The sound weapons, the ancient technology, everything." "But what can 600 humans do against an empire?" someone asked. Lisa looked at the glowing sphere that responded to her touch. "We can remind them why taking humans as pets was the biggest mistake they ever made." Time was running out. 2 months had passed since they learned about the Zaxian plan to destroy Earth. The humans at the mining outpost worked day and night to prepare their defense. Paul and his team of engineers had made amazing progress with the ancient technology. They built 3 large weapons that used the power of the sphere Lisa had found. Only humans could turn these weapons on. When they tested one on a distant asteroid, it cut the huge rock in half like it was made of butter. "The ancients knew how to fight," Paul said as they watched the test results. "This is more powerful than anything the Zaxians have." But 3 weapons would not be enough against an entire empire. They needed more. Lisa spent her days studying Zaxian biology with help from the scientist prisoners. She learned that the sound weakness could be made even stronger. The right frequency could not just hurt Zaxians, it could kill them. "We could broadcast this frequency through their own communication network," she explained to the others. "Every Zaxian ship and planet is connected to it. That would kill all of them," Jack said quietly. "Every Zaxian in the galaxy." Lisa looked down. Yes, it would. No one spoke for a long time. They had been treated like animals, but did that give them the right to destroy an entire species? They decided to keep this option as a last resort. First, they would try to stop just the attack on Earth. Olivia had been monitoring Zaxian communications carefully. She discovered that the fleet to attack Earth would gather at a place called Station Apex, a huge space station at the edge of Zaxian space. "If we can get to Station Apex before the fleet leaves, we might be able to stop them," Ryan suggested. But how would they get there? Their small stolen ships couldn't travel that far or that fast. They needed a real starship. The answer came from an unexpected source. One of the Zaxian prisoners, an older scientist named Zexicon, approached them with an offer. "Not all Zaxians agree with how we treat other species," he told them through Olivia's translation. "Some of us have argued for years that intelligent beings should not be kept as pets. I can help you get a starship." They were suspicious at first. Why would a Zaxian help them? "My life's work has been studying the ancients," Zexicon explained. "When I saw how the sphere responded to humans, I realized the truth our leaders have denied. The ancients chose humans as their successors. You, are meant to have their technology. It is not right for us to interfere with that plan. Zexcon told them about a secret shipyard not far from their location. It held a prototype ship designed to study ancient ruins in distant parts of the galaxy. The ship was fast and had special equipment for ancient technology. I can give you the access codes, he said. The shipyard has only a small crew. With your sound weapons, you could take it easily. They made their plan. Jack would lead a team to capture the shipyard and the prototype ship. Ryan would stay behind with most of the humans to guard the outpost. Lisa, Paul, and Olivia would go with Jack to install their ancient weapons on the new ship. 3 days later, they approached the hidden shipyard. It was built inside a large asteroid, invisible to most sensors. Using Zexcon's codes, they gained easy access. The shipyard had only 15 Zaxian workers. Jack's team quickly subdued them with sound devices. No alarms went off. No warnings were sent. Within an hour, the shipyard was theirs. The prototype ship was beautiful. It was sleek and silver, much smaller than regular Zaxian warships, but faster. Its name translated to Ancient Seeker. Paul was amazed by the ship's systems. This is at least 3 generations ahead of any Zaxian ship we've seen. It has special ports designed to connect with ancient technology. They spent a week installing their weapons and preparing the ship. Olivia programmed the ship's computers with all the information they had about Station Apex. Lisa prepared special sound broadcasters that could hit every Zaxian within a large area. When they were ready, Jack selected 30 of their best fighters to go with them. The rest would stay at the outpost with Ryan, continuing to build more weapons in case the first plan failed. Before they left, Lisa had a private conversation with Ryan. She gave him a small device. "If we fail," she said quietly, "this contains the frequency that will kill all Zaxians. It can be broadcast through their entire network. Use it only if Earth is attacked." Ryan took the device with a grim face. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that." The Ancient Seeker left the asteroid shipyard and jumped to faster-than-light speed. Their journey to Station Apex would take 10 days. During that time, they continued to prepare. Jack trained the fighters in Zaxian combat techniques he had learned during his time as a fighting pet. Olivia refined her control of Zaxian communication systems. Paul worked with the ancient weapons, making them even more powerful. Lisa created special suits that would protect them from Zaxian weapons. On the 8th day of their journey, Olivia intercepted a troubling message. "The fleet is gathering faster than expected," she told the others. "They already have 30 warships at Station Apex. The attack on Earth is scheduled to begin in just 12 days. This was sooner than they had planned. They would have almost no time to prepare once they reached the station." "We need a new plan," Jack said. "A direct attack on the station won't work against that many ships." Lisa thought about the ancient technology and how it responded to humans. What if we don't fight them directly? What if we use their own systems against them, like we did during our escape from Zax Prime? Paul nodded slowly as he understood her idea. "The station will have central control systems. If we can reach those, we might be able to sabotage the entire fleet at once." They spent the last 2 days of their journey planning a stealth mission instead of a direct attack. They would need to infiltrate the station, reach the control center, and take over the systems. It would be incredibly dangerous. As they dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Station Apex, they got their first view of what they were up against. The station was enormous, like a small moon. Around it floated dozens of Zaxian warships, each one capable of destroying a planet. "We're coming up on Station Apex," Paul said from the pilot's seat. "Our disguise systems are active. They should see us as a Zaxian supply ship." Jack looked at his team. These humans had been pets just months ago. Now they were about to try to save Earth from destruction. "Remember why we're doing this," he said to them. "For Earth. For everyone we left behind. For all humans everywhere." The Ancient Seeker moved, slowly toward the massive space station, carrying with it humanity's best hope for survival. The Ancient Seeker docked at Station Apex without raising any alarms. Thanks to Olivia's perfect command of Zaxian language and protocols, they were registered as a supply ship bringing special materials for the fleet. Jack led the first team, off the ship. They wore stolen Zaxian worker uniforms modified to fit human bodies. Sound devices were hidden in their pockets, ready to use if needed. Remember, stay calm and avoid eye contact, Jack whispered. Zaxians expect their lessers to look down. Lisa, Paul, and Olivia followed with the second team. They carried special equipment disguised as ordinary tools. Inside these tools were components that could connect to the station's systems. The station was huge and busy. Thousands of Zaxians moved about, preparing for the attack on Earth. None paid attention to what they thought were just workers. To the Zaxians, all lesser species looked somewhat alike. They moved through the station using maps Zexcon had provided. Their goal was the central control room, 20 levels up from the docking bay. As they rode up in a transport tube, a high-ranking Zaxian officer entered. He wore the marks of a fleet commander. Everyone lowered their heads, playing the part of respectful workers. The officer barely glanced at them. When they reached level 15, alarms suddenly blared through the station. "Attention all personnel," a voice announced in Zaxian. "Security scan has detected non-Zaxian life forms in Section 12. All units respond." Section 12 was where they had just been. Their presence had been discovered. "We need to move faster," Jack said. They abandoned their slow, careful approach and began running through the corridors. 3 Zaxian security guards appeared ahead. Jack activated his sound device. The guards dropped, holding their hearing organs in pain. The team stepped over them and continued running. More alarms sounded. The entire station now knew intruders were present, but they didn't yet know who or what the intruders planned. After fighting their way past more guards, they finally reached the door to the central control room. It was sealed with a genetic lock that only responded to high-ranking Zaxian DNA. "We can't get through this," Paul said, examining the lock. Lisa pulled out one of their ancient devices. "Maybe we can." She placed the small disc against the door. It glowed blue, then sank into the metal. The door melted away as if made of ice. Inside, 20 Zaxian technicians and officers turned in shock. Before they could react, Jack and his team activated all their sound devices at once. Every Zaxian in the room collapsed in agony. "Secure the room," Jack ordered. His fighters moved quickly to bind the Zaxians. Paul went straight to the main control console. "This controls all communications and navigation for the fleet. If we can hack into it, we can send false orders to every ship." While Paul worked, Lisa set up her equipment at another console. She was preparing a special sound broadcast that would reach every ship in the fleet simultaneously. Olivia monitored station communications. "They're organizing a major response. At least 100 security troops are heading our way. We have maybe 10 minutes. Jack positioned his fighters at the doorway. "That's all we need." He turned to Paul. "How's it coming?" Paul's fingers flew over the alien controls. "I'm in their navigation systems. I can change the coordinates for the jump to Earth." "Send them somewhere far away," Lisa suggested. "The edge of the galaxy." Paul nodded and began programming false coordinates. The fleet would jump to empty space days away from any habitable world. Lisa finished setting up her sound device. "This is ready. When activated, it will broadcast the disabling frequency to every ship in the fleet. Not lethal, but enough to incapacitate all Zaxians for several hours." "Wait," Olivia said suddenly. She was staring at a message on her screen. The Zaxian Emperor is here, on the station. He came to personally oversee the attack on Earth." Everyone fell silent. The Emperor was the one who had declared humans dangerous, the one who had ordered Earth's destruction, the one who had approved using humans as pets for generations. "Where exactly?" Jack asked. Olivia read the details. "Command level, special quarters, 3 levels above us." Jack looked at Lisa. "Can you modify your sound device? Make it directional instead of broadcast?" Lisa thought for a moment. "Yes, but why?" "I'm going to pay the Emperor a visit," Jack said. "The rest of you finish the plan here." Before anyone could argue, Jack took a modified sound device and left. He moved through the station with purpose, avoiding patrols. The layout on all Zaxian ships and stations was similar. He had memorized it during his years as a fighting pet. He reached the Emperor's quarters just as security alarms began blaring throughout the station. Their tampering in the control room had been detected. He had little time. 2 royal guards stood outside the Emperor's door. Jack didn't hesitate. He activated his sound device at maximum power. The guards fell instantly, blood leaking from their hearing organs. This setting wasn't just painful. It was lethal. Jack entered the private chamber of Emperor Zaxcor. The ruler of the Zaxian Empire was tall, with 6 arms instead of the usual 4. His skin was deep purple with gold patterns. He wore robes, covered in precious metals and stones. The Emperor turned in surprise. "A human? Here?" He spoke in perfect human language. "You know our language," Jack said, surprised. "Of course. I study all species before deciding if they are worthy of being more than pets." The Emperor seemed unafraid. "You must be from the escaped group. Impressive that you made it this far. But futile." Jack held up his sound device. "Not so futile. Your entire fleet is about to be disabled. Your attack on Earth will never happen." The Emperor made a sound like laughter. "This fleet? This is only one of 3 fleets heading to your world. The others launched days ago from other stations. Even if you stop these ships, Earth will still burn." Jack felt cold fear grip his heart. They hadn't known about the other fleets. "Why? Why destroy us? What threat could we possibly be to you?" The Emperor pointed to Jack's sound device. "That, your adaptability, your resistance. No pet species has ever fought back before. You found our weakness in just 5 years. Given time, humans might actually challenge us. I cannot allow that." Jack activated his communicator. "Lisa, did you hear that?" Lisa's voice came through, shaky and afraid. "Yes, there are 2 more fleets heading to Earth." In the control room, Lisa made a hard decision. She pulled out the small device she had shown to Ryan, the one with the lethal frequency that could kill all Zaxians. "Paul, can I connect this to the station's main communication array?" she asked. Paul looked at the device and understood what it was. Yes, it would reach every Zaxian communication device in the galaxy. Lisa hesitated only for a moment. "Do it." Back in the Emperor's chamber, Jack watched as the mighty ruler of the Zaxian Empire realized what was happening. "You wouldn't," the Emperor said. "Even humans wouldn't kill an entire species." Jack thought of Earth, of billions of innocent people who knew nothing about this war in space. He thought of years spent in cages, treated like an animal. "You shouldn't have taken us as pets," Jack said simply. Throughout the galaxy, on every Zaxian ship and planet, all communication devices simultaneously broadcast a single pure tone. The sound was harmless to humans and other species, but to Zaxians it destroyed their sensitive neural pathways instantly. The Zaxian Empire, which had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, fell in less than 5 minutes. 1 month later, the ancient seeker arrived at Earth. The planet still stood, beautiful and blue, unaware of how close it had come to destruction. Lisa stood on the bridge, looking down at her home. "What do we tell them?" Jack had no easy answer. "The truth. That the galaxy is now open to us. That the ancient technology responds to our DNA. That we now have the responsibility that comes with great power. And that we eliminated an entire species to save ourselves." Lisa added quietly. "Yes. That too." Jack knew that burden would never leave them. "Let's go home." The ship began its descent to Earth, carrying humans who had been pets but had become something much more dangerous. The inheritors of the galaxy,